What is up, Team JVS? We are back with another review. We're here with Dead City Season 2, Episode 6, and there is a lot to talk about. We have gotten a bunch of different stuff throughout this season. We've gotten a lot of introductions to new groups. Crazier walkers, it feels at times. Different alliances, still, we get very, very crazy moments in this show. But one of the craziest things that we've gotten we got we got a bear, bro. We got a whole ass bear fighting Maggie, and then Herschel got some aim. Of course, first before we start, hello, welcome, Busy Braun here. How you doing? Before we start this review, I, you know, got kind of excited because I thought it was really funny to bring up because I don't think I've brought this up, but out of the craziest things that I've tried in Japan, and I got back a couple weeks ago, it was bear. And I actually got to try it with the normies. Funny enough, and I don't think that I would eat this bear. This thing looked nasty. Poor bastard had one eye. He's fighting for his life. Probably rabid as hell. I don't know what was going on, but I'm not eating this bear. A lot of craziness in this show, and the fact is, it didn't even look like the walkers wanted to eat this bear. Um, I think that was one of the craziest moments of the show. I thought I had so much fun with it, and not even maybe necessarily crazy, but just fun. Like creative. Part of me thought it was gonna be a gorilla at first, and I was ready to make the 100 men joke, 100 walkers versus a gorilla. But this was fun. This was really fun. I had a good time with this. But leading to a lot of different moments, whether it was Herschel and Maggie having their talk about the Dama, or even Negan talking to the Croat, or Negan talking to Maggie. There was so much happening here where at times it kind of felt like a finale, but at the same time it just you know the craziness. It's the sixth episode. We have two episodes left. They're gonna have to conclude all of this, even though this kind of felt like that's what they did. The fact that they turned away, or that Negan decided to turn away Annie and I believe Joshua. I understand where he's coming from, but it's as a viewer, it's just so annoying to see where like just all of this is coming around, and just I feel like there's so many things that we try to do, and then at the end of the day, it just ends up not ending up meaning anything, and it just stinks that I was all excited to see a little reunion, and it didn't even end up happening. But of course, we start off with Bruegel taking the crew in after the last episode. And immediately when Bruegel walks inside, we see one of his guards get taken away. And part of me thought it was going to be some crazy walker. And I think a lot of people thought that too, because when they teased, I believe it was in the first episode, talking about what kind of resides in Central Park, what resides in No Man's Land, we hear a giant roar. And, when you're watching an apocalypse show, a show that revolves around zombies, one might think it's going to revolve, some type of big boss, some big evolution zombie type deal, some Last of Us, a bloater type situation. And I was really thinking that The Walking Dead was going to end up taking that step, and we were going to get this introduction to some cool ass looking walker, and we've gotten tons of those. Don't get me wrong, but just the way it roared, the way they kind of built it up, I thought that's what it was going to be, and it turned out to be a bear. And don't get me wrong, I mean, part of me is like, okay, it's a bear, but the way they portrayed the scene, the way that the lighting was, the way that some of the shots were with the bears, hurtling over or like standing over Maggie, there was just certain shots in that scene alone that just kind of redeemed it for me a little bit. But at the end of the day, it's when you have kind of like some expectations due to the way that they're deliberately teasing things, you're gonna think one thing and kind of be a little disappointed sometimes if they go another direction. But at the end of the day, I'm still happy with what we got. It was still an insane sequence, and it was pretty insane. But leading into the Croat and Maggie having their discussion, of course, right after the whole Dama situation, the Croat of course notices the rat. They end up talking, but then it led to them actually having a heartfelt conversation about the Croat talking about Croatia, and him saying flat out like, Negan, you could come with me, bro. You could bring your family. Like we could have like basically have something there, as if they were gonna live on a farm and be neighbors or something. And realistically, the Croat like seems super genuine in that situation, but we know how unhinged this man is. So I don't know where you guys kind of stand on how everything went down there, but realistically, he's so unhinged. I would never trust it. I would never bring my family next to this man. But the way he was just describing everything, and then when he slowly realized what was on Negan's shoe, was a really cool reveal. It was bound to happen. I thought it was going to happen a little later. I thought the Croat was going to be involved and be in charge, excuse me, and we were going to see kind of all of that kind of unfold and see if he was able to handle the pressure or if he was going to fall under being, the new Dama, because all these emotional games and all the other reliance that he had on her, I was expecting something crazy to happen. But realistically, it was just interesting to see how it all went down, considering once they got down to the main floor with all of the foot soldiers there, we see the Croat kind of put two and two together and then confront Negan. And he was saying exactly what we were saying in the last episode. He's like, "You brought up the rat right before I kind of went after the Dama. Like you put everything in my head. Like you used me. You put me against her." And yes, that's exactly what he did. But he also gave you the keys to the the damn kingdom. Like I don't know. But realistically, I understand why he was pissed, especially because he's a crazy man. So it's gonna be like pissed but times 10, so that's kind of what the Croat kind of the actor, I can never say his name, so I do apologize, but what he portrayed in that sequence was just beautiful. I enjoyed it. I thought it was great, and it leading to like an Uno reverse where the Croat was the one in charge. He had the bat. He was making the swings. He was doing what he needed to do and kind of like letting out all of his anger at Negan. And then it turned. We even had the "You were my brother," like, and of course you can't not think about Star Wars anytime you hear that quote, but it led, of course, to Negan getting the upper hand, and then the whole thing changed where it was like, "You were my brother, you betrayed me, you used me against her. This was your plan the whole time to I gave you everything. You have this because of me. You are what you are because of me." And then Negan delivers another fantastic monologue, which of course makes sense because it's Negan. And anytime we get one of those, because we've already gotten a few in this season alone, but it's just like anytime we get one of those, like I'm locked in, I'm listening, bro, because he's just always dropping insane one-liners, and this was no different. Just to see the way that Jeffrey Dean Morgan was carrying himself in that situation, and at the same time, like although it felt like good old Negan, it still really felt like you know you could feel the development there, and that's what I was referring to later on too when it came down to Maggie and Negan having their entire conversation, because we see how much he's grown, how much she's grown. Obviously, she's still pissed at the man, and I'm gonna say this till I drop, bro. Like it's justified. I can understand why she's pissed at him. I'm not gonna continue to justify her trying to kill him, and that's not necessarily what she's doing. But I'm saying like if she was continuing to try to kill him, that may be like okay, but there is no way that you guys are gonna sit here and say like, oh yeah, she should have forgave him or she needs to let it go. I understand there's been situations where he's saved her son 100%, but realistically, it's like it's kind of unforgivable, and they can tolerate each other, but they don't need to be best friends. So like that needs to be knocked off. But being in that situation where they're just talking to each other, and he was straight up asking for advice at one point. Like this dude straight up said to her, like, "Do I cut them loose or do I allow them to stay, or do I go with them and go?" Like he was trying to come up with all these things. He's letting her know, "Hey, like my situation that I told you about was real, but I figured it out." And then of course that's when she was in full listening mode like we were too. But as soon as he said, "Oh, I figured it out," that's kind of where she got a little triggered because she was like, "You always do." And it's just some of the back and forths like that just make their dialogue so interesting because their dialogue always has us viewers locked in. But as soon as there's just one little flip, one wrong slip up in the way that they write a scene, you can understand why a character would kind of like change their entire position to being locked into understanding to listening to being pissed off in a millisecond. And I think Lauren Cohan did a fantastic job with showcasing that in that little exchange of dialogue because she was focused, she was listening, she seemed to be sympathizing with it in a sense. And then as soon as he said, "I figured it out," that's when she kind of was like, "Okay, yeah, like you always do." That's why like that's why he's the man, and it's just it was just a really cool way to like showcase that obviously the tension is always going to be there. Like that's always going to be there. But they just did a really good job um, with that scene as a whole, and especially when he asked for Ginny and he didn't even mention like hey like she didn't mention that she was on the island. She like he was just like hey like how is she? how is she adjusting? And it wasn't even on his head that there was a possibility that she was in New York, and then of course at the ending when we all see that go down, that was a really interesting sequence, really interesting sequence. And we know she's been hurt, we know she's been in pain, and of course earlier in the episode when they were talking about what they were going to do with Negan, and when she walked out, we saw her cleaning a wound. Um, I do believe she'll. I really hope she'll recover from it at least. But because I mean, I'm interested to see more of both her and Herschel because they both have had really like great moments where I'm like, oh, these are cool characters, and then they've had moments where I'm like, bro, like they always gotta have annoying kids in one of these shows. But then it's like, at least with these characters, they're just flip flopping. Like they do something crazy, but then they deliver by like doing something redeemable, and then it's just they got me going back and forth. Jenny, oh, excuse me, Jenny is a character who's done that over and over again, and but I'm just from her like I understand a lot of her moves; they're justified. The only thing that I'm not really backing up is her kind of alliance with Nervaez. Like that's just the one thing that I didn't like. I understood it maybe a little bit, but I did not like it. And it was just interesting to see how that went all down, and then it all went down, and even Maggie was trying to get past it and said flat out like, "Hey, I still want you to come with me. I want this to happen." And like realistically, Ginny just has a score to settle, and that's what she wants to do. And it was just interesting to see Maggie's point of view, where she came out and she actually said, "Hey, like this is this is how I was. Like the way I look at you is the way I looked at myself back then." And it was just kind of powerful because we saw the hatred, we saw all of that build up. Within it was like season 7, 8, 9, and then of course even when she came back when they got the reunion, it was still like, hey, like there was so much there. Like you could feel it through the friggin' screen, and it was fantastic. Um, we have that moment with, of course, Benjamin and Negan. Ben has been locked up this entire time, and Negan, of course, being in a situation where he, of course, is allowing him to be free. Was an interesting moment. I was interested because it's like the kid is at a point where he's been locked up, doesn't even know how long, but he's in a situation where like he could either kiss ass and then just do whatever he can to, try to look good, and try to, you know, I guess what's the word, kind of well again kiss up to Negan, but he's clearly trying to. He was kind of just talking normally. He was actually just saying some valid points, making valid points, and just the way he kind of looked for leave after Negan told him flat out like, hey, like the Dama's not in charge anymore. This isn't what's happening. You're free to go. It's just interesting. But I don't know. I mean, so much of this episode was just cool, and just even the moments between Herschel and Maggie, even though it pissed me off a little bit, it's interesting to see more dialogue between the two, and I'm just hoping that like with all of the complaining and all the craziness and all the arguments that we're getting between the two in this season, that there's gonna be a point where they can be cool. Like maybe season 3, maybe he's not bitching and moaning, and maybe she can understand that. I don't know. I don't know. And again, I don't want to sit here and say that he's not justified for bitching and moaning. I don't want to see it no more. That's just it's that simple. But because I feel like there's times where they've played out that him kind of like ranting about certain things. Like it's like it just feels the same every single time he does it. So I'm like, okay, like he's killing it, but I want something different now. I want them to resolve that issue so they can just be a mother son kick ass duo, and hopefully we can get to that point. But realistically, I think I've said my piece. I think I've said everything that I wanted to do or wanted to say. I just want to say like, hey, I appreciate you guys. I really think you guys have been. I really think you guys are you guys have been great. That's really all I'm trying to say. I appreciate you guys. I really want you guys to talk to me in the comment section. Give me like a list of your favorite episodes of this season so far. Do you think that this was better than season 1? Um, it was cool to see Dasha Polanco again or one more time as a walker. Of course, Bruegel ended up taking her out, but it was just really interesting to see how he kind of explained how he found them. He's like, yeah, she had like 20 bites, but she still had the energy to rat you out. Like it just kind of like puts a little more light on her character and how nuts and just crazy she was. Like realistically, it just felt like at the end of the day, she wasn't really doing it for New Babylon. Maybe she was just doing it for herself. I don't know. Maybe I'm overthinking it, but what is your point of view on the whole situation? But I am excited for more. I appreciate you guys for being patient and checking out these reviews. If you made it to the end, make sure to let us know. We'll be sure to say thank you. You can show some love by hitting that like button. Maybe turn on your notifications if you're not a huge fan of Dead City. I guarantee you, there's also other stuff that we have that you might like. And if you are a fan of Dead City, there's other shows and other movies that we cover that you probably will like as well. So give us a chance. We love to talk about these movies and review these movies and shows and whatever. We have a good time doing it. All of us here at Team JVS. So we appreciate you guys, and we look forward to just entertaining more and giving you guys more kind of recommendations and just giving you more insight on what you just watched. So feel free to ask us questions and talk to us in the comment section. We look forward to answering them. And if you guys want to see the reactions, you can go check out my channel where I've dropped the season 1 reactions and where I dropped the majority of the season 2 reactions. We're a little behind because we've been busy, but we will be posting those, so stay tuned. And then we have a whole bunch of other shows coming out, so reactions and reviews. So stay tuned. You guys are fantastic. I hope you're doing well. I hope you all are staying safe. And we got San Diego Comic Con not too far away, and you might be seeing some familiar faces over at Team JVS over there. So if you catch us, make sure to say hello. But realistically, feel free to talk to us, and just we look forward to just talking about movies. So that's really it, man. We love talking to you guys. So talk to us, like, comment. We'll see you soon. Peace out.